can see over the last 10 years, Xcel has developed quite a customer base. So today we've invited some of those customers here to talk about why and how they are incorporating Xcel Fleet's technologies into their fleets in order to meet their sustainability goals. Okay, so first off, I'd like to introduce you all to Irina Sidorenko. She is the Energy and Sustainability Analyst at the City of Cambridge, Massachusetts. Irina, tell us about your experience adding Xcel Fleet vehicles into your fleet.
Hi, and thank you for that. So before I provide feedback for Xcel Hybrid technology, I just wanted to briefly talk about what's happening in Cambridge in regards to vehicle sustainability efforts for our municipal operations. I mean, overall in Cambridge, we have a Clean Fleet initiative that focuses on increasing fuel efficiency and decreasing greenhouse gas emissions of the city's fleet. And currently, our fleet consists of around 350 to 60 vehicles, ranging from light-duty passenger to all the way to Class 8 rubbish packers. So it's a very diverse portfolio, which can be challenging at times, but also gives us a lot of opportunities to work with. And Clean Fleet initiative is part of overall city's net zero aspirations and 2050 carbon neutrality goals. And hybridization in general of vehicles across all the range of classes and hybridization with Xcel Hybrid and other vendors is one tool that the city is using in addition to replacing gasoline passenger vehicles with battery electric vehicles, implementation of various idle reduction technologies, and most recently, something we're very excited about, ordering plug-in hybrid rubbish packers. And we also use biodiesel. Alrighty, so why did we choose Xcel? So back in 2017, the City of Cambridge, we participated in the group purchasing solicitation that was organized by one of the regional planning agencies, MAPC, through the state contract VH102, and we were able that way obtain volume price discounts. So the first round we did 3 vehicles. The pilot was quite successful, and now we have total 6 hybrid upfitted vehicles, and these are 4 transits and 1 shuttle bus based on Ford E450 base. Upcoming in the next 6 months to a year, we'll have 7 more hybrid upfitted vehicles, and on top of the transits and shuttle buses, we'll have Ford F-250s and possibly F-350 upfitted with a hybrid technology. Something that is, quite nice is that Xcel is local and it's very close to Cambridge. Vehicles were off the road for only 1 day when they underwent the retrofit, and they were picked up and delivered the same day, which is quite convenient. Another convenience is that Xcel is part of the state contract here in Massachusetts, and therefore it makes it a little easier to procure services that way. And something I think important to mention is that all of the retrofits, we received the grant funding from DOER's Green Communities program. So all of the retrofits were funded through the grant money. So some positive feedback, we definitely saw the improved moving MPG, and this is something we learned along the way with those useful telematic reports that Xcel provides all of the customers. So yes, we saw some improvement, and since the first round of retrofits, which began in 2018, we saved over 1,200 gallons of gasoline. And definitely our drivers need to perform less fueling stops, and depending on distances needed to travel, they can run a couple of weeks without needing to fuel up. And most drivers, previously were not familiar with the hybrid technology, so there had to be some educational component. But in the end, they feel like, their driving is more engaged now with the regen braking and acceleration. They feel that they're more aware while driving, which is a positive thing. And since the vans are relatively new and we do less than 5,000 miles a year, we didn't need yet to replace brakes, but we do anticipate the brake wear and engine wear reduction from the technology. And one of the interesting takeaways and lesson learned is that those telematic reports definitely helped us discover how much our vehicles idle. And now we're looking at ways to address that, through possibly driver education and various technical solutions. So with that, I'll give it back to you, Anne.
All right, fantastic, Irina. Thank you. Sounds like y'all are well on your way to meeting your city's net zero aspirations and 2050 carbon neutrality goals. That's exciting. All right, so next up, we have Terrence Wills. He is the Interim Director of Support Services at the Sewer and Water Board of New Orleans. Terrence?
Thank you for your introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is well. Just want to kind of, before I get started into the actual Excel fleet that we received, I kind of want to give you guys a brief history or a brief overview of what support services is responsible for here in New Orleans in the Sewage and Water Board of New Orleans. Support services is a department that manages, which encompasses, I believe, 10 departments. But the ones that are more relative to what we're speaking about is our fleet management department. We have a fleet management department as well as our in-house. We have 3 garages that we maintain all of our vehicles in-house, from the large equipment down to the smaller engines that we have here on our site. We actually are responsible for other aspects of potential greening. We're responsible for maintaining the vegetation and the foliage in and around our canals throughout the city. We also responsible, as I said before, maintaining the entire fleet, which consists of 750 pieces of equipment. That's including road equipment as well as excavators, tractors, and things of that nature. So we are responsible for maintaining that fleet as well as acquiring that fleet and those pieces of equipment. So support services is a department that it says basically what we do. We support the system. We have a warehouse that maintains all of our pipe fittings and things of that nature that our networks department may need to utilize in order to repair any water mains or any breaks within our system. So we are very conscious with regards to how we support our system as well as how we want to continue to support the city. So with that stated, support services leadership at the time, along with myself and the former director, we decided to figure out some ways that maybe we can potentially help the environment as well as also help our fleet and our usability and the ability to, of course, I guess you can say to offset some costs and to reduce expenditures in certain areas. So while we were in that process of just figuring out different projects and things that we could come up with to help better green our system as well as our fleet, we decided, okay, well, we know the 2 biggest things that we can do within our department would be to, of course, to begin greening our fleet as well as look at other ways for our canal systems to be better utilized in terms of vegetation and grass growth and things of that nature. What green ways can we use to help reduce, the high vegetation and things of that nature? So we've been brainstorming and we're still working on that regard in terms of our vegetation. But as far as the fleet goes, we would say, okay, well, we reached out to a couple of individuals that may have the knowledge and expertise on this. We reached out, of course, to the Regional Planning Commission. They informed us of the Clean Fuel Transition Fund for public fleets, and of course of XL Fleet, which is by the way a great company. We have not had any issues with our equipment. If we basically everything is pretty much going well. So these 2 entities, of course, help provide the pathway for us to begin our endeavor with greening our fleet, and we're truly grateful for that. We decided to begin with a pilot program initially, which consisted of only 6 hybrid F-150s, and we wanted to make sure that we get the I guess you could say bang for the buck out of it by assessing the feasibility and efficiency of the hybrid system. And in order to do that, we decided to um, assign these vehicles to what we consider a high drive volume department, which we determined to be our meter reading division. Meter readers typically throughout a particular day may have anywhere between 200 to 300 meters that need to be read, and that's in a day. So with the volume of stop and go, we felt as though that this would definitely test the system as far as fuel efficiency, as far as any wear and tear, braking, things of that nature. So since the implementation, we've seen these vehicles, in meter reading, and the drivers of these these vehicles, there's been a reduction in fueling and fueling stops by these drivers, which essentially equates to increased fuel productivity. We actually have our own fuel island here at our actual Central Yard site. So in the event, and typically in the event of a refueling situation, if they're out in the field, then that means they would have to come all the way to the Central Yard to refuel. Most of our vehicles do not refuel. Well, really all of our vehicles do not refuel out in the public because we have, like I say, we have our fuel locations here on site. So that in itself is, a great thing to reduce that time of refueling, of coming back to the yard to get fueled and then resume their route. Productivity is increased because of the lesser fueling stops, and also because of the increased miles per gallon, they can actually cover more distance, which has greatly helped them to increase their productivity throughout the day and increase their workload because of the efficiency and the amount of time that's now dedicated to actually working versus a typical driving, getting gas, and things of that nature. These guys have been able to increase their routes and increase their workload, which helps the accuracy and improve the accuracy of our billing system. So the drivers had a conversation with a couple of the drivers of the vehicles, and they are impressed. A lot of them believed at first that, and that's basically due to, not being fully educated of the system. A lot of individuals believe that, because it's a hybrid or it's an electric, it won't have the same power or the same, as you can say, get up and go from stop to start. But actually, they were quite pleasantly surprised that these particular vehicles had as much, if not some, had better power initially from stop to go than some of our traditional vehicles. So they were quite impressed by that, the smooth drivability, the fuel efficiency. So for right now, overall, it appears that the pilot program is a success. Once the board navigates its way through, as we all are trying to do, navigate our way through this COVID situation, we would definitely resume the pursuit of greening the rest of the entire fleet in the near future. Well, of course, because of the size of our fleet, it would definitely have to be in stages, but that is something we are definitely looking forward to doing. And this program has been very beneficial for us, and looking forward to it.
Awesome.
So
Thank you, Darren.
that's it.
Awesome. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the fleet grows. Since I'm right over in Baton Rouge nearby, I'm excited to see y'all's progress as y'all expand your green fleet. So our next speaker has been using XL hybrid vehicles since 2015. And I'd like to introduce Ron Gittleman from Yale University. Ron, how are XL hybrids helping with your sustainability initiatives?
Thank you, Ann. It's great to be here. I do want to preface this that Yale does not endorse any product per se, but I'm glad to share how our experience with XL hybrids has been. We started back in around 2015, I believe, and we upfit several of our E450 shuttle buses, about 20 passenger buses with the XL system. It was a shot to try it. We'd already done biodiesel, which we still use. We have CNG, which we've cut back on, but we also still use. And we were finding a way to try to reduce the fuel spend and the emissions in New Haven. For those who don't know, New Haven is considered one of the worst air quality areas in the country. Part of that's because of our location. We get all the pollution from the Midwest, and then because of the currents, it kind of sits here. We also have 3 major highways which come through here with a lot of traffic. So being an urban campus, we want to do what we could to reduce the emissions in the area. We have also one Ford Transit 150, which is set up to be both passenger and cargo for our environmental health and safety. Why did we choose Xcel? Well, I first found Xcel at a NAFA I&E, and I believe it was St. Louis in 2012. So we took our time. They had a small table there. I thought, wow, this looks really great. Let's see what they can do. And we kind of kept an eye on them. My boss, George Longyear Jr., the fleet director at Yale, came to me and said we had a fleet sustainability initiative we really needed to follow, and we looked at different ways. I looked at how Xcel expanded. We followed their path for the 3 years, and we decided to go with the pilot program. And what we saw was great results. Our transit manager, Ed Beeman, had said that it was really a good product and that he really liked the hybrid. It was low maintenance. You didn't have to do anything extra. They didn't have to stock extra parts in our transit garage. They could continue with the standardization. And if something needed to be done outside of our garage, they could take it to our local dealer. It was very good, and we were really happy with it. We've been seeing up to 25% miles per gallon improvement. Now, our regular gasoline shuttles might get 4 miles per gallon, so these were getting 5, but everything I've seen has shown a 25% improvement. According to our garage, the brake repairs have been reduced greatly on these vehicles compared to those of a gasoline, and the drivers like the drive of the vehicle. Yale has a sustainability initiative which requires us to purchase sustainable vehicles when we can, and if we can't, to possibly upfit them. So we have been looking at different fuel types, and we hope to expand more on Xcel as the transition to electrification continues. They're a good company to work with, and while I don't endorse or not endorse a product, I've had nothing but pleasant experience with them, and would encourage that if anyone's searching to consider Xcel hybrids on your search. Cost benefit is a big issue, and so you want to make sure that your cost and benefit work, but don't just look at the actual fuel costs and gallons saved. Look at your emissions, because there is a cost of emissions. And I believe last I heard the EPA stated that as about $42 per metric ton. So everything needs to be looked at when you're going down this path. As always, Yale is available to help you and provide you any information you may need. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Looks like the branding on your buses is a great way to show your students and your faculty at the university is committed to sustainable practices. And thank you so much for coming on today.
You're welcome.
Right. Yeah, great. So that takes us to the end of our presentation. We've already hit the 1 hour mark, so I don't know if we're going to have time for many questions. But I do want to make one comment that a lot of utilities across the country are beginning to offer incentives here in Louisiana. Entergy has the Entergy eTech program, and we have SWEPCO that offer incentives for electrification. And just reach out to your local Clean Cities coordinator to find out what kind of incentives are available in your area. This is going to be a question for, say, Irina, Terrence, or Ron. Why not go straight to all electric?
I'll start with that, Anne. One reason is the availability of vehicles. On fleet, there are not a lot of vehicles available yet, but the manufacturers are starting to move that direction. Another is the cost of infrastructure. If you don't have the infrastructure, having an all-electric vehicle can be burdensome trying to find charging. And third, you want to make sure the cost is effective. So for example, there are companies that make all-electric vehicles on our platforms, but the cost just won't work for us. It's way too much. Nothing will ever recoup. So at Yale, we're moving electric. We've bought some sedans that are electric, and our desire is to go electric. But until the fleet OEMs start bringing out more electric vehicles, that part will not be fully realized.
Yes, we're definitely looking forward to the onslaught of the electric truck when they all start coming out. But
And this is Lee. Can I comment on that?
sure, go for it.
Yeah. Everybody's all excited about electric privately owned vehicles or electric light duty vehicles, and that's all well and good, and they're doing very well. But anything from class 3 to class 8 on the road, in other words, from basically a pickup truck, which XL produces a hybrid system for, all the way up to a 18-wheeler, they're science projects. They're not ready for prime time, and they're not going to be ready for probably 5 years or more. Everybody thinks just because we have electric cars, we have electric pickups and electric box trucks. And yes, we got them out there, but the costs are exorbitant. The infrastructure is not there, and nor is the support system in a lot of cases to maintain these. XL is a perfect vehicle to bridge that gap between what we have now in the light duty and getting into pickups and box trucks and things like that. On through until these other vehicles, the technology becomes mature, but it is not mature yet. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you, Lee. To wrap up, if anyone wants to learn about how they can start integrating electric vehicles into their fleet properly, I really encourage you to look to your local Clean Cities coordinator. There are about 80 coalitions all over the country. So all you have to do is Google Clean Cities contacts and find someone near you. And we do not profit by recommending any particular manufacturers. We are that agnostic source that can really help you figure out what works best for you. So if a solution is not going to fit for your fleet, or if there's not technology available, we're going to work with you and help you find something that will. And like I said, we don't profit from any of the choices or any of the recommendations that we make. We are a nonprofit organizations mostly. So if we didn't get to one of your questions, we'll try reaching out directly to you. And I wanted to thank all the presenters here today, Courtney, Lee, Mike, Eric, and a special thanks to Irina, Terrence, and Ron for joining us and moving the sustainability needle with your Green Fleet initiatives. I also want to thank all of you for joining us and sticking with us today. We know we went a little bit over. And if we would like to share this presentation with others in your organization, we will be sending each of you an email with a link to today's webinar. That concludes our webinar. Stay healthy and safe. Thank you. Goodbye.